Tam Talks explores life, spirituality, and general weirdness through quirky storytelling and laughter, lighting you up in your life journey. Let's go! Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Tam Talks. This is Tamiah, and today I want to talk about, this one might get really, I don't want to say I can say triggering. Trigger alert. I'm going to talk about organized religion. And kind of not just organized religion, but just like life in general and how we are led to certain beliefs and just how, so okay, I'll give you context. I've talked about this many times with people because I just get very curious about certain things. And it came up again. I was training Reiki practitioners over the weekend, and we somehow got into this discussion. And I thought, you know what? Let's do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna use my voice, and I'm going to. I'm probably gonna pee people off, but that's it. The point of doing this podcast and sharing my ideas and my voice is just that. Is it that I'm putting things out there that maybe people don't want to talk about, or maybe they don't want to hear, but maybe it's things that will hit and you will be like, hey, I've been thinking that same thing, and whoa, maybe that makes sense. And it's okay to think outside of the box, and it's okay to question and think about different things. So I actually did a few months ago, I spent a few hours just on the internet doing research, because ever since I was a kid, I always wondered certain things. And so I basically did research to plot out humanity, to see which civilizations existed when, and kind of to put it in that chronological order. Like even, okay, Greek mythology, and I want to say mythology in quotes because let's say ancient Greece, because I don't think a lot of these myths, quote unquote, are myths. I think these are things that, were called that to take the power away from them, to stop people from knowing about them or knowing that they really existed. And I think of, like goddess culture. I think of females, because I do believe that right now it's 2025 or 2026, depending on when I post this. And there are far too many white males in power in politics. And I truly believe on a global level, we need women. We need women across the board. And you know what? Sure, chuck in a couple of your token males, because that's how it is right now. There's a few token females, and I dare say that the token females that are within the government positions, who I deeply respect and I am so proud and I love that they're there, but they're heavily sitting in their masculine to fit in, just like in corporate. I don't believe that it's balanced. Gender, whatever. But what I'm saying is that masculine energy is sitting in governments right now in positions of power, and we need feminine. We need diplomacy. We need integrity. We need truth. We need calm, peace, collective, beautiful, sweet, caring, compassionate leaders. And I do believe, don't get me wrong, Obama from the US, incredible. I think he did a great job. And I think he is a masculine who is heavily in his feminine, a very well balanced individual. So what I'm thinking though is that yes, physical females is what we need right now in power. Wipe this crap out. I'm sorry, but so I'm Canadian. The government's broken. Our healthcare system is broken. Our schooling system is broken. Our social, oh, whatever system with people who are struggling with addictions and mental health. It is all effing broken. And it has been broken for many, 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 many years. And why the heck the people who are in power are still in power, the liberals, um, not just that, but the people who are ruling this, it's broken. We need a complete revamp. And I know people will then justify and say, oh, but if you do this and this, this, and this, you know what? What we have been doing is not working. Wipe the slate clean, crumble it, start again with women running. So, okay, that is a side tangent. That was fun. There goes a bunch of subscribers. Here comes a bunch of new ones. Anyways, okay, so let's take it over to what I originally wanted to start. And this is about kind of humanity in general. So when I was a little girl, I remember thinking and actually asking people, because I was raised in a Protestant, like a Presbyterian church, and shout out to Knox in Milton, Ontario. I went there from the age of 5-ish or 6 when we moved to Milton until I was like kind of preteen teenager, when my mom was like, okay, I can't force you. And then I started going back again in my mid 20s, just felt called back to kind of religion. And in the midst of that, somewhere in my 20s, I read the Bible start to finish. I was a part of Bible study groups. I actually taught Sunday school, just like the little kind of 3 and 4 year olds. I taught for, I don't even know how many years, 5 years maybe. I helped with the vacation Bible school for the little kids. Like, I was pretty darn involved. In our church. So, and very faithful and devoted to Christianity and my beliefs. And we had several ministers over the years, and I still have people who I know through the church. So shout out to church. But for me, for as long as I can remember, I remember questioning and saying, okay, so if we look at Christianity and we look at the Christ story, the birth of Jesus, all of this. So I remember saying and thinking this at like 5 or 6 years old. And I was thinking, okay, so there's Jesus and then his parents, but wait, they didn't have sex. So wait, some baby just landed, but that's the miracle of God. And I'm like, okay, so then, all right, that's cool. So God is this like almighty thing, but like on a human level, where, so if Jesus was born and he's the son of God, like what was happening up until that point? Like, was there anarchy? Was there like, no, everybody was just kind of living hunky dory, whatever. So then I was thinking, okay, well, so then who were Mary and Joseph's parents? Okay, and then who were their parents? And I kept thinking, well, keep going back. And then I took it a step deeper and I'm like, okay, so this God guy, like, okay, so he's real, but he's not real, but he's the same as Jesus. But Jesus is a human baby, but he's like this floating guy in the sky. But then there's the Holy Trinity, which would be like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So this is all in my little mind. And I'm like, okay, so then God, who were his parents? Like, where did he come from? Did he just like spawn in one day? Like he just appeared? And I'm like, okay, that's cool. But so if that happened, like, where did he come from? And how did he come into being? And nobody, and not even the Bible, could clearly answer that for me. And I just kind of was like, okay, cool. Well, this is like, my mom goes to church and wants us to go to church. And so I'll do all the Sunday school and learn the things and sing the songs and do the Christmas pageants and make friends. And dress up as an angel and like all the things. That's fine. But I always was like, what? This isn't adding up. So, anyways, over the years, I just kind of kept shoving that down. And I was like, well, okay, it doesn't make sense. So, fast forward, I mean, I even had my boys baptized at the church. Like, I got married. I got married in the Caribbean, but then we did a service in the church because it was that important to me. Religion. So, fast forward to, I don't even know, maybe about 10 years ago. So, in as well as all of this, I've always been into, like not religious spirituality, but like spirituality, like tarot cards and doing seances. And we played with the Ouija board. And then, as I got older, it was like more into meditation and then Reiki and always exploring and learning. And I remember in high school taking world religions, and oh my gosh, I loved it because we learned about Hinduism, we learned about Buddhism, Judaism, Sikhism. Like, we learned about so many different things. And I grew up in like white, what is it, like a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant slash Catholic town in the 80s. So, it was very, very sheltered how I was raised. I started traveling when I was a teenager to the Caribbean and had like eye opening. I was like, oh, wait a minute. This is not like what this is the world. And other than me as a kid looking through National Geographic magazines that my mom always had, which I loved, like I've always been obsessed with just culture and travel and different beliefs and systems. And I didn't ever fit into this white box of organized religion, though I kept trying to make myself fit into it. And so, anyways, when I in high school took that course, I was like, holy, I loved it. And I had a crazy high, I had like 99% at my midterm. And this was like the kid who didn't study, and I was just like a punk and whatever. So I just really loved it. Anyways, so fast forward to, I don't even know, like 10 years ago ish. And I'm kind of like, you know what? This just isn't sitting well with me anymore. I feel like even the things, like I remember reading some of the stories to my Sunday school students, and I'm like, I don't like this. Like, this is brainwashing and almost like um what's that word? Like blackmailing. It's like, if you weren't this way, you're not going to go into heaven. You're going to go to the bad place. And I was like, you know what? I don't even believe in hell. Like, I don't even believe in hell. It's stupid. If you think about our experience on earth and a lot of the really hard stuff that people in general have to go through as living human beings, that's hell. Like, people who have to grief, bury their own child, people who are raped and murdered, and just all of the injustice, all of the pain and suffering. That's hell. I don't think it's just this place where you die. And I also, like, this was the other part. I don't believe we just die and then either, okay, line up. Oh, you were a bad boy. You're going to hell. Oh, you were a good boy. You get to go to heaven. And then what? You just freaking hang out in heaven? Like, okay, it's bliss and it's great. That's only going to be for so long. And then it's like, okay, well, that's it. Like, that's all no, man. I don't believe that organized religion, I believe that it came from a good place. I believe that it's a good moral compass. So regardless of Christianity, um, Judaism, Hindu, like whatever your Muslim, whatever these structured religious beliefs are, I do believe that yes, at the very core of it, there are your basic rules that are really good to live by. But I think of books like the Four Agreements by the Ruiz. I can't remember. I think it's the dad actually. The Four Agreements, and you can follow those and live a very beautiful life. There's no organized religion attached to that. So I do think, like, I don't want to totally disregard that there was a place for organized religion, and maybe still that there's a place. But what I want to note is that the basis of a lot of churches and religions is community, is the fact that you have people who are helping one another, who love one another, who maybe don't even know you, who welcome in complete strangers and help, and who also do work, philanthropical work throughout the year to help organizations, individuals, other countries, like whatever it may be. So, yes, I do think that is amazing. The parts that I don't like is just all of the manipulation. Um, I don't like the financial tie to it. And I don't even like, I don't watch the news. I don't dig into a lot of stuff. But I know with the Catholic Church, there's a lot of just weird stuff. And I mean, my boys go to a Catholic high school strictly based on the reputation of the two schools in the area. And I thought, you know what? That's the better school. They have to take religion every single school year. But I just tell them, I'm like, treat it like you're visiting another country and you're just learning about something. Like they were raised in the church, they know. Um, but I don't think that organized religion is the be all and end all. I also don't think that we should be fighting each other about it. I do believe that there's choice. So I'm not forced to go to any church. Nope, I'm not. So guess what? The people who are going to whatever church, whatever temple, whatever mosque, wherever they're going, enjoy it. Have fun. Love it. You have your people, I have my people. I think that is very important that we mind our own business. It is not my place to dictate who you go and worship with, if you go and worship, what you worship. If you are following these basic, I don't even call them rules, these basic principles of living a peaceful and beautiful, kind, generous life, and you're somehow giving back to society in one way, guess what? That's great. So, yeah, I don't even know. Another little tidbit that I find interesting. So, some of the oracle cards, some of my favorite oracle cards are done by a woman named Rebecca Campbell, and she's British. I think she lives in the States now, or Australia, or I don't even know. But, anyways, she makes up these beautiful oracle cards, and she's a really wicked woman. Wicked is good. And she, in one of her decks, I remember reading in one of the guidebooks that back in the day, so when we think of all of the goddesses, I think it was hers. Now that I think about it, I'm like, wait a minute. No, it was her deck, but because I have a goddess deck that's not by her. So I wondered briefly if it was from there. But anyways, if you look at oracle decks and we look at kind of the goddess, I want to call it culture. So, which I still want to research and figure out, when did this happen? Because there's all sorts of talk that there were like, Amazon women and just these goddesses who people worshipped and who ruled the world. And so I want to know when that happened, how that fell, why. But the point is, in one of the guidebooks, I remember, I think it was Rebecca Campbell saying that a lot of the churches in Europe are actually built over top of what once were goddess temples. And I'm like, oh, that's literally patriarchal, organized religion stamping out feminine goddess power. How can it get much clearer than that? So I remember reading that and thinking, oh my gosh, like what is it? And then pull in witchcraft. Like, I'm also watching The Witcher on Netflix, and I on and off watch Outlander because it's a lot and it's long, and I'm like small doses. But even in these shows, which are based off of history, they're showing like witches, and I do a quotation mark as I'm saying this, being burned at the stake. And a lot of my friends now, we just laugh because we're like, oh, we would be considered witches because so these witches were healers, were women who gathered in circle together, were plant medicine people. So they helped heal others using natural ways, using energy. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I've got to come back to something else because this was just reminding me. Anyways, so you look at it and you think, okay, so women, why were like, so females, majority were female witches, and they were basically wiped out because why? Oh, they're evil and they're hurting people, and it's like, no, they're actually not. So anyways, I think a lot of what has happened in the past is what it's almost like setting a stage, and it's like a setup. If we want to, it's a narrative. If we want people to believe that these people did something bad, it justifies us burning them and killing them because for the greater good. So pull this over. So it triggered when I was saying about this, about energy and healing. And when I think we were talking about this during the certification yesterday, that, and I've felt this way for a while, and I've talked about it a few times. If you think about Jesus and you think about all of his stories and how he put his hands on and healed people, and you think about energy healing, Reiki, there's therapeutic touch, there's all different types of hands-on healing, which is a combination of energy, which would be like ki, chi, prana, whatever you want to call it, just simply being channeled through a practitioner, a healer, a person, whatever you want to call it, with the intention of goodness and helping and healing. You combine good intentions and that energy field being directed or just channeling through. What do you have? You have Jesus. So I think, cool. I don't doubt that there wasn't, like, I think, yeah, of course, Jesus was real. Yes, sure, he performed miracles. Do I believe that everybody has that ability? Absolutely. Absolutely. Guess what? I didn't just burst into flames either for saying that. So, what I believe is that, yes, people have gifts and abilities and more of an alignment to the spiritual, the energetic, kind of that side of the world, of being, of living. However, we are all born with every single ounce of it. And if we tap in, if we explore, if we grow, we want to see, we want to learn, we want to know, we want to train, we want to hone our skills, we want to do that, we can. Could we all get to the Jesus level? Likely. So, this is my point. My point is also, wait a minute, I got to add this in. The Bible. Let's just talk about the Bible. The Bible is a combination of books, I'm doing quotes, written. So let's say pieces written. So there's, say, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. There's all these different, that's New Testament books. And they are written by those people. So, okay, here's Mark at home. Oh, I'm going to write about my experiences. And so he's writing in his journal, whatever. Okay. And then all of a sudden, somebody decides they're making a Bible, a big rule book for everybody forevermore to follow. And then we have other people. We're going to doubting Thomas. We've got to write about him and how if you doubt, that's bad, that's wrong. And then I thought and I think constantly about, it's hearsay. It's like broken telephone. Anybody could have written anything. One person with nefarious intentions could have written the whole Bible and just made it up, saying, oh, it was written by this group and these were the disciples and these are all the stories. It could have been written by someone who is severely mentally ill and delusional. Like, the point is, I don't want to totally dismantle, I think I already did, the validity of the Bible. But what I'm saying is, maybe we shouldn't be so rigid with things. Maybe we need to take it a little bit lighter. And the base principle, like being kind, being loving, because that was my other, taking it back to when I was a very young child. That was my other point. My other point was, okay, so you want me to believe that God is all loving and beautiful and wonderful and all forgiving. So is that only if I follow his rules? Number one. Number two, does that mean that, so if some guy goes out and rapes a little kid because he's a fucking pig, oops, I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on this. Anyways, he does that, but then he goes into some Catholic church, into the little, what is it called? Confessional booth, and talks to a priest and says, "Oh, I did this. I'm so sorry." And then the priest says, "Okay, go and do a few Hail Marys." Is that what they're called? I don't even know. Go say a prayer and do 10 push-ups and you're good, clean slate. Like, what? What? That to me makes absolutely no sense. And I'm not saying everybody needs to be perfect. I'm not saying that we always have to make the right decision and live impeccably. We need to do our best. We need to do our very best. Yes, there is room for mistakes. There is room for forgiveness. There is all of that. But think about people who just do that over and over and over and over again. And maybe even people who are in leadership positions within the church. Like, I don't even want to go there. I don't even want to go into Indigenous people, what was done. And maybe I should. Maybe that should actually be an interview with someone from the Indigenous community. I don't, yeah, I don't want to dishonor any more than has already been done. So I'm not going to touch that. But just think about this stuff. We just really need to take a step back. So I'm going to wrap it up because my rant has gone long enough. I don't even know. I'm probably going to call this like my organized religion rant because, whoa, right? Maybe it's time. Maybe it's time to take note. Like, why are churches, congregations shrinking? Why are people leaving the church? Why are people leaving temples? Why are people questioning and turning to spirituality and their own inner compass and whatever other things? Why? Because maybe we don't need that. Maybe we just need to live in peace, in respect for others, respect for ourselves, overall wellness. Maybe we need to stop fighting. We need to stop having opinions about what other people should be doing with their bodies or not doing with their bodies. Maybe it's just time that we completely open our minds, open our hearts, give people the benefit of the doubt, give people help when it's needed. And yeah, maybe it's just time. Maybe it's time to just chill the F out and reset. All right, I'm wrapping it up. Thank you for listening. If you made it to the end, congratulations. That was a long one. That was a rant. I hope you have a great day and we'll chat soon. Thanks for listening. Peace out. Thanks for hanging out and listening to my wild and wacky Tam Talks. Follow Tam Talks to be notified of new episodes. Peace out.